I mean, I think the biggest thing is just trying to keep her in good spirits. Had a lot of setbacks with all these little injuries, and we just have to take it one day at a time. It's frustrating for her, I'm sure, especially, and I think for us as a staff and as a team, just trying to keep her encouraged and trying to keep her to stay the course.
Hey, Steph.
What's up, Doug?
Can you give any specifics of, like, did she have imaging today? Was it just see how she's feeling? And I know you have a game tonight first, but is there any discussion yet about this weekend with her? Because obviously she's a huge part of All-Star.
No discussion yet about this weekend. There was imaging done, and obviously ruling her out for tonight, but there hasn't been any discussion beyond tonight.
Well, how are them doing?
And Steph, just obviously to that point, when it's a re-injury, when you're trying to figure this stuff out within the context of the goals you guys have set over the long term, does the timetable change? Where maybe you're having a conversation with doctors, but there's also a sort of a larger understanding of having this happen a second time, a third time, that we have to think about this in terms of September, October as much as anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've approached it that way from a slow pace from the beginning. This might just be my ignorance, but I'm not really sure that it's a re-injury as much as a different kind of injury. I know oftentimes when you're working with injuries in the groin and the quad and the hamstring and all of those things, there's just they're all kind of tied together, and it's not always just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think yes, absolutely, the big picture is the most important. For her health and wellness long term, and for our team, and to we've been very slow in making sure that every time she comes back that she's ready. So we'll continue to approach it like that. I mean, long term is the most important.
Hey, Steph, Annie Costable, Front Office Sports. I know you said you haven't had a discussion about this weekend, but we obviously know, just based on what she said, how excited she was for this weekend. So what's the balance or what's the emphasis on long-term health over excitement over this weekend? What conversations have you had regarding that?
We haven't had any yet, honestly. The most important thing for me was just making sure that she was okay. Anybody who's been injured, as most of us have, right? It's being injured and continuing to have setbacks is frustrating. Mentally, emotionally, oftentimes being injured is isolating. Mm-hmm. From my standpoint, the primary conversations that we've had last night and today are just checking in. Are you good? How can we help? Mm-hmm. We're going to continue to stay the course. We've got you. We're supporting you. Caitlin and her team will make decisions when it comes to All-Star. And for me, it's a big deal for us to have All-Star in Indianapolis. And of course, with Caitlin being a focal point of all of that. As the coach of the Indiana Fever, it's not a bigger deal than our long-term season. Mm-hmm. But it's also part of the fun. Those are conversations that Caitlin will have with her group. I probably won't be a part of those, but we're going to support her no matter what.
And then just quickly, listed as questionable earlier today. What changed regarding going from questionable to
just the imaging that she was able to get this afternoon? Mm-hmm.
Hi, Barbara Barker from Newsday. I just wanted to ask you, you went over very well, just how frustrating, and anyone who saw, the game last night was heartbreaking in a way. How much is the physicality that she has to face on a nightly basis? This is not a direct result of that, but having to face that all the time, how hard is that for her to deal with when an injury happens like that?
It is tough. Certainly someone who has the ball in her hands as much as Caitlin, the physicality that she's experiencing for 40 minutes, it causes you to load differently, causes you to explode differently, it causes you to accelerate and decelerate differently. It's not the free-flowing movement that we want to see when it comes to freedom of movement. And I think all of those things, at times, while it might not be one blow or another, over time can contribute to that. That's why freedom of movement is a huge emphasis from our coaches' standpoint when we have conversations at the league level. So can you point it out to one thing or the other? No, but I do think the physicality with which teams are able to play with her is a factor.
Peter Splendoria with New York Daily News. Just in terms of the imaging, just severity-wise, I mean, would you consider it good news, the results today?
You'd have to ask the athletic training staff. I mean, I consider it good news, no, just because, for me, it's anything that we're talking about still day to day is always good news for me. So, but that's a layman's viewpoint.
Hey, Coach. Caitlin was pretty emotional last night, probably the most we've seen so far. Can you speak to her mindset last night and sort of where she's at today?
I mean, obviously, I'm not going to speak for Caitlin, but again, someone who's continued to have setbacks from an injury standpoint, and as a former athlete who's had a lot of surgeries myself, it's very frustrating. You feel like you're trying to do everything that you can to put yourself in position to get past it or to move forward, and when there's a setback, it's emotionally, mentally and emotionally tough. And so, of course, she was upset. I think anybody in that position would be. You see it all throughout the course of history with athletes when they go through injuries, and especially multiple injuries back to back, just when you think you're starting to move the needle. So, I think the most important thing for us is to keep her upbeat, to, again, continue to support her and let her know that we have her back and that we're going to go out, we're going to battle for her. Thank you.